Welcome to the next episode of the Miss Collegiate USA Director's Cut Pageant Talk from the Director's Perspective, hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kia Brown, founder and president of the Miss Collegiate USA organization. I am back to reconnect with one of our 2021 Miss Collegiate USA alums, a power female in the STEM industry and our very first national award sponsor. Please welcome Kelsey Scott Kirrene, Miss California Collegiate USA 2021. Kelsey, thank you so much for being here. You are an original OG, as I like to say, with the Miss Collegiate USA system. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so great to talk to you again and to get to see how much the system's grown since 2021.
I'm excited that you said that because you were the first of many. You were our very first Miss California Collegiate USA. You were one of the first cohort members of MCU, and you were one of our very first national award sponsor and sponsoring the STEAM Awards. So we are just honored, obviously, to have you and to have you continuously involved in the organization. I would love to talk about our first call. If you remember that, when we talked about your interest in competing and, what were some of your hopes and accomplishments with the system and what your experience was like.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I remember it like it was yesterday because I put you in the hot seat. I interrogated you for, I think it was at least 45 minutes straight the first time we chatted. I had just competed previously in another inaugural system and didn't have the best and most positive pageant experience. For me, when I got involved in pageantry, I really wanted to focus on scholarship and service. So the MCU sisterhood seemed perfect on paper, but having just been, a little bit let down with the previous experience, I was really hesitant to sign up again for, an inaugural pageant. So I just grilled you for like 45 minutes straight. Like, what is your vision? What are you doing? Tell me more about your board. And really just wanted to make sure that as I was investing my time and my efforts into the system, that what I was going to receive and experience through Nationals Week was what I was seeing advertised on the website. And I'm so happy that you were able to calm my nerves and assuage all of my concerns. So it was absolutely true, right? The vision that you shared with me, I think has really been consistent and has been a strong theme throughout, from that very first year through now, reflected in the prize package, the scoring, just how you brand and talk about the system, the queens you've selected. So it's been so incredible to see that happen and come to fruition. When I just remember grilling you, like, is it really about scholarship? Yeah, is it really about like sisterhood? Are you really going to support people? And that was 100% my experience between you and the rest of the national staff. Especially, throwing your first pageant can be a lot. And it was so much fun being out in Greenville for Nationals Week. I remember the scavenger hunt was just like one of my favorite pageant experiences ever, running around the city. And it's such a cute little city. My parents were actually thinking of retiring there after attending the pageant. So, good for the city as well. But it turned into the most incredible opportunity to really just embrace and to grow as a scholar, grow academically. The scholarship that I received competing helped really transform my life. I'm 4 weeks away from defending my doctoral dissertation, which is absolutely crazy. And I was able to do it without taking on additional student loans. My husband and I got married the summer after competing, or the spring after competing. And my husband and I graduated with over $150,000 in loans combined. We're really fortunate. We have 2 engineering degrees, so we're good. We'll be able to pay them off. But getting a doctorate was always on my bucket list. But it was something that until I paid down some of my undergraduate and my master's degree loans wasn't on the table. But competing, getting that additional support and the additional visibility enabled me to chase that dream. So I've just been so blessed and so transformed through the experience and support competing in Miss Collegiate USA, which is why I wanted to come back and be one of the award sponsors and really help support future women in STEAM.
I love that. Thank you so much for everything. I mean, you have been an amazing role model, kind of set the bar for California and for the organization as a whole, being a member. But I love that you really took on the scholarship to pursue your higher education. I love that everybody has enjoyed Greenville so much. And everybody asks, like, why did you choose Greenville? and it is ranked the #1 friendliest city and has been for a couple of years. But it also reminds me of a Hallmark movie kind of
Mhm.
town. And so, besides Greenville, and I love that everybody enjoyed the scavenger hunt, what was one additional memorable moment at nationals that you enjoyed?
So this is like a very specific memory, but I remember being at one of the rehearsals in the big ballroom and 24 Karat Magic it came on. It was playing in the background. We all just started dancing. And it was just us in a little circle. Like I think like a day before the competition, but the sisterhood was really real, especially our year. I can't speak to how 2022 or 2023 went, but 2021, those girls were amazing. I think I had like 3 of them invited to my wedding that next year. So like literally the best sisterhood ever. But I remember standing between Miss Florida and Miss Oklahoma, and just like that moment is like ingrained in my brain of just having so much fun. And I think for me, it really was just representative of the whole week that we weren't all there to compete with each other. We were there to have fun, to build sisterhood, to really embrace that notion of sorority, and to be that first class at Miss Collegiate USA and leave a legacy, have an impact, but do it while having fun with each other. I think that was it's definitely one of the memories that just, like, for some reason is stuck in my head forever. I don't know why.
I love that. I think either myself or someone else caught that a clip of you all dancing, and it was the #1 song, I guess, at that time. But I love that moment because it wasn't competition, it wasn't walking on stage. It was just like, let's have this moment. I think you kind of alluded to it. We kind of embody academia, scholarship, and sisterhood as part of our organization. But you've competed in different pageant systems like myself, and you've experienced different competition, phases of competition, things like that. What to you makes MCU kind of stand out from other pageant systems?
So MCU was actually the only system that I've competed in that had, like, a scored paperwork and resume section, which I thought was really unique. And I think to me, that really just emphasizes that that academic portion really does matter. There's a variety of different offstage competitions you can have. I have not historically been, like, the most pageanty girl. So, like, things like photogenic are, like, offstage competition, right? But it's not necessarily something that lets your personality and your accomplishments and your success shine the same way that I really felt like that resume review and academics, just kind of played into the overall outcome, of course, but also to play it into the interview. Yeah, I've also competed in systems that do and don't have paperwork for interview. So walking into the interview room, having the ability to introduce myself, all of my questions were based off of exactly what I wanted to talk about, what was on my resume. And the judges had taken the time to read my resume and really understand who I was, what I was passionate about, because it was part of the scoring. So I think that was really unique for MCU and really made me feel like I was being appreciated as a holistic person and not just for the outfit that I was wearing, or how my hip sway was on stage or anything like that.
But you were beautiful on stage too. But it definitely, I appreciate you calling that out because it was really important for our organization to call out a tool that could be used in the future, which is the resume, and also an opportunity for potential donors to evaluate the contestant as a whole. And like you said, instead of just on stage, but looking at what the young lady has accomplished in academics or in their professional career. So you shine through paperwork and on stage. So that's where you are today.
A little sparkle everywhere, but that was definitely special.
Allow it. I want to move over. I love MCU, but I love pageants. I'm a pageant girl at heart. And so I really want to talk about how you've continued your pageant journey after MCU Nationals. You talked about you got married, and I love your husband joined us at Disney World, and he had just as much fun.
Oh, yes.
as we did. So we loved him at the Disney World that summer. But now you're a married lady, and you currently hold the title of Mrs. California USA Earth. And I know that it could be different when you transition to a different age division or category. So tell me your experience as a Mrs., what you've enjoyed so far, and your year as a title holder.
Yeah, so I think my year really went a different direction than I expected to, which was for all the best reasons. But for me, like I said, after MCU, I had such a positive experience, took a year off to get married and do, married life, personal things. But then, I was reflecting and figuring out, like, do I want to compete again? Do I want to become like a director, volunteer? And my husband had never seen me compete before, just with PTO and vacation, travel time, etc. He had never been able to travel for any of my competitions. So he was like, like at least give a Mrs. Pageant a try. I had heard all the stereotypes of Mrs. Pageants, like it's all yoga moms, like, you don't, that's not your people, which, like yoga moms are amazing, but that's not necessarily why I compete in pageants. So I really wanted to find an organization that would still align with my values and help me grow as a community servant, as a leader, but most importantly, welcome my husband into the pageant experience. So the MCU trip to Disney World was his first, like, dip his toe into, like, what happens when you put a bunch of pageant girls in a hotel. And he had a blast. But we wanted to just celebrate and experience together. So I decided to enter the Mrs. California USA Earth competition, mostly just so he could see me compete. And we kind of had a conversation beforehand of, if I win the state competition, we'll go to nationals. It'll be amazing. It'll be fun. If I don't win, at least you saw me on stage. And turns out, the stars aligned. We were able to win the state competition. It was the first time having like that big crowning moment on stage, and a couple of my friends drove out to Las Vegas where the competition was held. My husband is very loud. If you remembered, he loves to cheer. So I had the loudest cheering section, loudest but smallest cheering section. But it was just an incredible opportunity to get him involved and to just introduce that part of my life to him. So then in January, we traveled to Virginia Beach to compete in the national pageant. But little did I know, 4 days after I won the California title, I found out we were pregnant with our first kid. And the national pageant was like 6 months later. So I got to compete 7 months pregnant at nationals, which was, I guess, it was planned, it was expected, but it was also just, the timing was, I would have preferred to be a little bit less pregnant competing.
You looked beautiful. You looked beautiful on stage.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. We hit the very end of that glow phase, end of second trimester into third trimester. And it was funny, I actually got a cold the week after coming back. And it's been all downhill from there. Just like the backaches, the waddling has officially started. I was so thankful that the waddling started after nationals. Right. But it was actually at one of my childbirth classes. My childbirth education teacher was like, "Oh, if you want to help open your hips, like walk like a pageant queen." And I was like, "Oh, I'm on it. I've been doing that already. Yay." So yeah, it's been a really unique year. As you remember, STEM education has always been one of my big passions as a woman working in engineering, particularly in the space industry, where we're not the most represented. About 8% of mechanical engineers are women. About 20% of space industry professionals overall are women. So it's really underrepresented. So I've been able to still travel and educate a ton of young minds. I developed some new curricula to promote STEM education and really just try to get out in my community as much as I can. Slowed down a lot lately, but I'm really excited to continue advancing that. And becoming the STEAM sponsor for MCU is just one of those kind of checklist items, one of those personal goals I had to provide scholarship for women pursuing STEM fields to help overcome some of those barriers. And I've been able to continue doing so as Mrs. California USA Earth, and we'll see what's next.
It's definitely, you have a lot. We talked about it earlier, but I think you're used to a full schedule. And so this baby girl that's to come, I can see potentially a future young woman in the STEM industry as well, because mom is a good leader.
We'll see. She's got 2 engineers for parents, so she's going to be doomed.
Thing. So you talked a lot about being a title holder. Again, you were beautiful on stage. I saw the pictures. I saw the glow. And you placed in the top.
The top 10. Yeah, yes, which was crazy for my first Mrs. Pageant.
It's not crazy. We know who you are as a person. You were graceful on stage. I saw all the beautiful photos. I know that, shout out to Kaylin, too, because he identified to me that you had previously not been really engaged in social media so much. But at MCU, joining your title, you really took on social media. You were doing reels, and I think this was before TikTok was like a trend, but really doing reels and everything. And so I know that you're reaching a audience for your platform that is amazing as a title holder and as a representative. So continue doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so funny because Caitlin always would like laugh in the background of some of my reels. So thank goodness the audio covers over that. But it really was something I got to explore more. And I was so like awkward and ashamed at first when I first started. But having an impact, being able to have that broader reach was so important for me as a title holder. So I eventually was able to just like suck it up and be like, this is awkward and uncomfortable for me. But like, I'm the one making it uncomfortable. Just do it. Yeah, people who are watching, even if only one person sees and resonates with the message, that's one other person that I've reached and touched with the title that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do so. So it was definitely really uncomfortable, but so fun. And I've still, now I've gotten to enjoy just being able to embarrass myself on reels and hopefully inspire some of that next generation to really pursue those male-dominated fields and be able to overcome barriers and boundaries and be a role model for people who might not have one in their local community or their circle.
Absolutely. I think we really got to see the real you, Kelsey, and those reels and videos and learn a lot too. So I think you were the social media winner during your first. So you're the first of many for MC. But yeah, you definitely have a presence in person and on social media. So continue that. Maybe slow down a little bit with baby coming. But, definitely know that you have that in your back pocket as well. Now, okay, so I might embarrass you a little bit, but I did a little bit of research. I know you a little bit, like I know a lot, but I dug and I found a video of you and Kaylin performing together with the song Laughing Lines. And I have to know, is this how you met, like performing together at Carnegie Mellon?
Yeah, we were assigned salsa dance partners at a student dance group that was called Dancer Symposium. So basically every semester they have like student choreographed pieces that perform a whole big production at the end of the semester. So one of Kaylin's fraternity brothers, he was always like a singer and a performer musical theater wise, but wasn't really a dancer. But one of his fraternity brothers was like, hey, you should try out. Like, this is fun. And I'm a choreographer. You have fun dancing at parties. Like, come on, get out and do it. I grew up doing ballet, so I had been part of Dancer Symposium really just all throughout college. And lo and behold, we both got assigned to the same salsa dance and were assigned salsa partners and danced our way into each other's hearts.
I
so
love
it was
that.
super fun.
I love that. Yeah, I saw a video. I think it was like 7 or 8 years old. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, we actually reprised. So Dancer Symposium lets you do a senior solo. We decided to do our senior solos together. So it was more of a senior duet when we were graduating. And then we reprised that dance to Laughter Lines at our wedding, like 7 years later. So it was a fun, just full circle moment for us.
I did see that. I saw that piece together. I think you did the Valentine's Day thing.
I think so. Yeah. It's definitely been posted at some point.
Well, you talked a little bit about you sponsored the first STEAM award, which is the first national sponsored award, which you sponsored 3 recipients, and MCU is keeping that going with your name on it. You talked about the importance of women in STEM. Why did you make the decision to share that with MCU community, and what's next for you?
Yeah, we'll see what's next. I've got some exciting things up my sleeve, but I've definitely one of my actually sat with a mentor a couple of years ago and laid out my like 5-year plan. And one of the things on year 3 was to sponsor a STEM scholarship. Like I mentioned, the scholarship that I earned competing through MCU helped me achieve an academic goal. So I wanted to be part of paying that forward because I had received so much from MCU to just play a small part in someone else's story. I was really fortunate. I grew up, my mom's an engineer. And she works as a paralegal now. She's not really in the field as much anymore. But I never questioned, can I be an engineer? Because I knew that I could. But for so many young women, they don't have that role model to look up to. And even a lot of parents and educators, when you ask them what engineering is, they just say it's applied math and science. Like we've all probably heard that at some point in time. And that doesn't necessarily resonate with a lot of young girls. So there was actually a study by the National Academy of Engineers, and what engineers do and what I think engineers do and why I love being an engineer is that I get to build a brighter future. And that is a much more exciting message to send to young kids. So for me, it's all part of just trying to help overcome that barrier and really just emphasize that you can be changing the future through engineering, through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. You don't have to love math or calculus or anything. I actually almost failed out of a differential equations class in college. Different story. Um, but for me, it was really just part of being that role model that other women don't have to help them pursue those male-dominated fields and being a small part of overcoming the financial barriers that can come with it through the STEM scholarship or STEAM scholarship with MCU. So that was just a way for me to give back and to really just give back to the organization that's given me so much and given me the opportunity to pursue my doctorate and become Dr. Kirrene without taking on additional student loan burden. But I'm hoping to continue expanding my Princess program for budding engineers, curricula and activities, and inspiring young minds to pursue engineering and empowering parents and educators. Hopefully formal nonprofits in my future, but we'll see the timeline. But for the next couple of years, I can't wait to raise my little princess to understand that an engineer is just a princess who can build her own castle.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I got chills. I think you explained that with your name. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing to ensure that women see that there's an opportunity in this field. And I know when you obtain your doctorate, you become even smaller percentage of women in STEM with a doctoral, but it sounds like you are already planning the future to lead young women. How are you balancing everything on your plate right now?
Oh gosh, it's been a really busy couple months, really busy last year or so. But for me, I've always been the kind of person who prefers to be busy versus not busy. I get a lot of energy from being involved in things that I'm passionate about. So as much as it can be tiring and exhausting sometimes, it's also really rejuvenating for me. But really, why I've chose to pursue all these different things and how I've been able to balance it is that I'm trying to focus on the alignment between them. So for me, STEM education is something that I'm going to do with or without a pageant title. So it's really, taking on that title is not something that adds too much to my plate. Obviously, it adds a little bit of interview prep and walking practice here and there. But for me, overall, just living the way that I want to as a community servant, giving back, just lends itself so well. Being a grad student has been challenging at times. There's weeks where it's like, okay, we're not going to make any social media content. We're not going to do, any volunteer activities. We're just going to focus on midterms and finals because we have to. But really just trying to plan around and kind of find those synergies and find the overlap. For me, so much of being a title holder and being present on social media has been just sharing my story and sharing who I am just authentically. And that's sharing all of the highs and the lows of trying to figure out how to deal with grad school and holding down a full-time job in the space industry. But so much of these different activities really overlap and really synergize to make me who I am and make me who I want to be. So it really has been kind of a no-brainer to say yes to the opportunities that give me joy, even though they can be challenging, it can be tough sometimes, and especially throughout pregnancy. I remember, I think last November, I would have been 5 or 6 months pregnant then, I had like 3 appearances in one day. I did a STEM presentation in the morning, and then a workshop in the afternoon, and then was judging another pageant in the evening, and stopped at Friendsgiving in between somehow. And I got back at the end of the day, and I was like, wow, I did all of that. It was so fun. I cannot do 3 appearances ever again in one day, or at least not for the rest of pregnancy. But throughout pregnancy, especially, I've taken a step back from a couple of volunteering roles that were less important to me so I could focus on the ones that were more important. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I've got 9 months with baby in my belly. I want her to have the best experience ever. And I can't wait just to be able to tell her the stories when she's born of all the things she's accomplished and will have no memory of. Yeah, she won the California State Pageant for Mrs. USA Earth. She walked in Las Vegas Swim Week. She got to compete on the national stage at Mrs. USA Earth. She'll hopefully still be in my belly for my dissertation defense. Gosh, please don't come too early. But there's so many things that I will have done with her in these 9 months that just make it so special. uh, and have really just made me appreciate and enjoy every moment.
You just make me smile because I'm so proud of what you've accomplished and honored that you're part of our organization forevermore. So I am excited for you and what's to come. So we'll definitely be following you. Can you share the Princess program? How do I find out more information? Where would I go to get some information and connect with you?
So first and foremost, follow me at Rhinestones and Robots on Instagram. I repost everything there. I also have a second Instagram page, which is the Princess Program STEM, where each specific activity guide is linked. So you can follow that page as well. But overall, on Rhinestones and Robots, that's where you'll find just silly, inspirational, hopefully, reels about what it means to be a woman in STEM, as well as where I'll share links. And then the Princess Program, I have a website that any parent, educator, community leader can download free resources to learn different STEM activities to help facilitate and be part of their children or their scout troop or the classroom STEM education journey. So it teaches everything from cybersecurity to the engineering design process, and does it in a way that's more like arts and crafts and kind of play to try to make STEM a little bit less confusing and less scary. Being a girly girl in STEM, I grew up playing with Barbies, and some of my best memories are building roller coasters with Legos and Connects for my stuffed animals. So it was way more fun to build it for a stuffed animal than to just build it. But for me, that was just such an important part of my engineering journey and why I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. So trying to incorporate ways that your parents might not even realize that the arts and crafts their kids are doing are building engineering principles, but it can be a really fun way to engage and be part of your child's STEM education. So follow Rhinestones and Robots for more, and check out the Princess Program for Budding Engineers website, which is linked in my page there. And there's just a ton of fun resources you can download and just be part of with your kid, your scout troops, your classroom, whatever access you have to young minds.
Thank you, Kelsey. We'll definitely link all of those below in the comments and in the chat for everyone to follow you. Kelsey, thank you so much. I appreciate you wearing green today too.
So funnily enough, this is actually my tank top from Nationals 2021. It does not fit very well over the belly right now, but I still have it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I don't have to wish you good luck. I know you're going to do amazing on your defense, and I'm excited to see baby girl come out. Please take some time to rest after your defense.
I will enjoy those couple weeks that we've got in between, and then a couple months of maternity leave after, and we'll see where we go from there. But it'll be the most exciting couple months ahead.
It will be. Thank you so much. And to check out Kelsey, we will put the link in the bio.